Pledge of Allegiance. This is called Prayer for Common Ground. Today, may I be open to others' ideas and beliefs, respectful of our differences, not threatened by them. May I grow in understanding of our own motives, knowing that people often act out of their own fears. May I be a force for replacing fear with insight, helping us all to be patient and kind as we talk. Strength, real strength, can always find compromise. Working together, we may find a common ground, enable us to move forward with a shared purpose. May we see what is truly important and unite us, focusing on that to banish roadblocks of ego and fear. Today, may I open to others' ideas and beliefs. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible. For all. Okay, welcome everybody to our vast throng that we have here tonight. Guess we'll go with roll call.
Okay. Mrs. Lingo?
Here.
Mr. Parsons?
Here.
Mr. Redding? Mrs. Dosa?
Here.
Mr. George?
Here.
Mr. Young?
Here.
Mrs. Rissel?
Okay, Mr. Redding is absent tonight. He is ill.
Could I make a motion to excuse Mr. Redding?
Thank you, Mr. Corbin. Mr. George has made a motion to excuse Mr. Redding. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Lingo, seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Redding is excused. You have before you the minutes from the November 7th, 2023 council meeting. Does anybody see of any misspellings or corrections that need to be made?
I only see one thing on the page with the ordinances. The last three ordinances, it says a motion to suspend, the first reading was made by so-and-so, seconded. Then it says an aye vote carried the motion. We don't do aye
Oh, no.
votes. All three of those last ordinances should say
A roll
a
call.
roll call vote.
You know, at the last line of those three ordinances, it does say a roll call
At the
vote
end.
carried the motion at the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even think that shouldn't be there at all, actually.
Like
Well,
no,
motion to
That's
suspend.
extra.
it's extra sentence or something.
The aye vote was put in there to cover the reading of the first suspension
To
of the reading.
suspend, okay, okay.
And so I guess, yeah, that should be roll call
Roll
also.
call, but
Anybody else? Okay, now I would ask for motion to adopt as corrected.
I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes as corrected.
Mr. Young has made a motion to adopt as corrected. Ms. Rissel has seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Correspondence? I don't have any correspondence. Does anybody else have any? You have on your desk before you, of course, the finance report, so forth. That's the only thing. No guest and special events. Public input. Anybody here like? We'll move on. Committees and commissions. Beautification, Ms. Lingo.
No report.
Business Partnership and Alliance, Mr. Young.
Just a reminder, Christmas walk, Saturday, December 16th. And
location-wise?
I don't know. Did they decide on location for the ice skating rink?
It's behind Little Dutch in that parking
In the
lot
parking lot, okay. Yeah,
by the
behind
green
Little Dutch.
space.
How about the tree lighting? Did you find a place for a tree?
I don't think we have a tree lighting.
Oh, I thought you were gonna do a tree lighting.
Tried,
The
but-
city is not planning to do a lighting, so unless the business association is.
Is there going to be some publication or some notification that we're doing this? There's nothing on the city's website, or if
I
it
was gonna
is,
ask if we get on the city website, and I need to get the business association to update their website also, because it wasn't on theirs either.
They just dropped off little quarter sheet.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. And I think there's gonna be a banner that they'll post to various places that will have the details, and then we'll get it posted to Facebook.
okay.
What
That's
about-
about 4 weeks from now, right?
What about like Channel 5 and all those? They do that free stuff. They announce things that are going on.
I don't know. If you got a contact, let me know. We can
I've never done it, but
Yeah.
I hear everything else. I'm like, why aren't we ever
That
on
is-
this?
We can do a press release.
Press release? I don't have the.
Mr. Young, you could pass this on, I don't know if they know it or not, but years ago, the city used to put up a Christmas tree for a public lighting.
Brian gives
Yep.
me,
And it was right in front of the, well, I call it the First National Bank, but US Bank now, in that
that's what they did last year. It had all the
stone walk area between the sidewalk and the front of the bank.
Yeah. Yeah, we actually talked about that, but we're trying to figure out where to, get a tree and get some things like that too, so, yep.
They also used to give away a car that you could buy raffle tickets on, and that set up there by the tree.
Wow, I don't remember any of that.
I think we got a Toyota, oh, never mind.
RC car this year.
Okay. Guest and, over on committee reports, sorry. Economic Development, you've done that, sir. Finance, Mr. Parsons.
I'll go back to economic development. I did business, so, also on economic development, we'll try to schedule a meeting on the 19th if that's possible for council. To talk about, some of the buildings here, the antique mall, so, and some grants out there, so we want to talk about some of that. So, if we can check our schedule, see if the 19th would work before council.
December 19th.
December
before
19th,
council.
yes.
Is that a committee or a whole council?
It's committee.
Okay. Library, Ms. Dosa.
Really nothing, Bob, finance.
That's all right, I will come
I
back.
jumped you. Yeah.
So do you want me to go?
Yeah, go.
Okay. Nothing new to report other than the fact that the library has finalized the sale of the CVS location and that they will be starting renovation in '24.
That's super.
Yay, that's good
No,
news.
that is good.
Let's see, and
Okay.
they were planning to do community engagement. They talked about doing it here, but they're gonna do it at the old CVS. I don't know, I haven't heard a date or anything yet, but
Nothing has been confirmed
yeah,
yet.
they're gonna do it at their actual building.
Okay, we're gonna move back to finance, Mr. Parsons.
Yeah, the Finance Committee met at 6 o'clock this evening and go over the first draft of the budget for 2024. Quite a few changes and additions and subtractions, and we will continue that. I'm going to call a meeting for next Thursday in the afternoon, 3 o'clock, of the committee to go over the next draft and make sure it's ready to go for our next council meeting.
Okay. Questions? Okay, library, Ms. Dosa? We did that. You have anything for parks?
Nothing new to report.
Safety Committee, Mr. Redding's not here. Schools, Mr. George?
No report.
Streets, Ms. Rissel? Okay. Mayor's report, Mr. Wolf.
I just want to give update. There's continued work on that $35,000 grant that we got from Hamilton County Public Health. It's moving forward. It's quite comprehensive, this program that's being implemented. Involves Tecan Farm, Poetry Out Loud, Wetlands, Fibonacci, and the school district. And there's not really a project manager. So we met tonight to kind of figure out how to coordinate all these different entities that are getting different dollars for different it's the same project, but taking place in different places. Additionally, we found out the school district got the same grant. So we have to coordinate with them to make sure there's not an overlap of services being provided by this grant. So that's what I'm working on right now, just trying to herd cats. But it's moving forward and it's good, good progress. That's the end of my report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. City Manager, Mr. Bauer.
So just a couple items. I was gonna mention the library. I already talked about that. I'll let you know a date whenever I hear it. The block grant is due next Tuesday. I've got a few projects. It's more facade improvement, streetscape improvements for Hamilton Avenue that'll get submitted. But gonna finalize that list here in the next, actually it's before next Tuesday. Negotiations are ongoing with the fire department for their first contract. I think that's it. I've got some updated quotes for the gas aggregation here when we get to it, but that's all I have.
Questions from,
Are you going to investigate the playground instead of the streetscapes?
Yes, I have a meeting scheduled with the county to see if that's possible for our current block grant, yeah, if they can be used for that. I think there's things we could do on Hamilton Avenue. There's some pretty bad spots that could either be sodded or just either pavers or concrete, so maybe there's some like little work that could be done, but I'll also check out to see if a playset is eligible, so.
any other questions? Okay, move on to ordinances and resolutions. We were tabled to one ordinance that followed it over, so that is, there'll be no second reading on that. No ordinances or resolutions then. We move down to old business.
Don't we have this ordinance?
That's this. We tabled it.
Oh, that's right. Tabled again.
What are we doing with the gas aggregation? I apologize.
Not like, it's just tabled, right?
Yeah, if you want to untable
Still
it.
tabled.
But that's what you just passed out, so I was gonna ask you about this anyway. Or
Yep.
not ask you, but give you my opinion, which I don't do very often. I don't think this has dropped enough to consider. I mean, it is down about 20 cents for the 2 years, but I think it's gonna continue to go down. I
So
think we
if-
should look at it every month, at least till February, and see what happens.
But what we would still need to do is to pass the legislation to commit us to
Yes.
this formula. So are you, okay. So are you fine with the 2-year? I mean, that's what the legislation would be committing us to, is the 2-year.
I don't know yet, if it'd be 2 years or 1 year. I mean, we can change the legislation, it's tabled.
Right, yeah, for sure. So wait till,
Look at it either every meeting or once a month or something, and see how it's going.
okay.
That's my opinion.
We have the ordinance, and are you changing the ordinance?
We may in the future, but not tonight, I guess is what we're saying, right? And we're still tabling it?
Yep.
Or that's your suggestion, okay.
Anybody else have any input? Gas aggregation.
I had some old business, but I can't remember what it was. It's that old.
No, I'm old. Old business.
When does the decision have to be made by?
Yeah, can we go back to that for 1 second? When do we have to have a decision made?
You said
So
by
what,
February?
again, what we would be locking in is the supplier and the term, but you're also locking in, it's not specifically the rate, but it's how you calculate the rate. So if you look on there, it says there's a NYMEX price, NYMEX. They basically take that, which is just a published price for the cost of gas, and then there's a formula, that's what these modifiers are, the 1.06 and the 1.337. They add all that stuff onto it, and that's how they get it. So we would be committing to that formula.
So we're just waiting to see if we get a lesser amount. Is that
We
what
would-
you're saying, Bob? Is that what you're saying?
I think we're locking into a price. We've had the same price for 4 years.
If the legislation is not locking you into the price, it's locking you into the formula. And so then if the NYMEX changes, the formula changes
Well, then you don't have a fixed rate, you have a variable rate.
until you sign that contract.
Oh, okay.
And then you lock in the rate. But if we don't do anything, the rate continues to fluctuate every day until you sign the contract. and lock
Okay,
it.
so we're going for a fixed rate when we sign the contract.
Correct.
We're looking for that right rate.
And right supplier and right term.
Yeah, and Mr. George's question, I think, was when do we have to decide? And I think it's by the end of February?
Correct. But the formula could change in the meantime,
Oh, yeah,
potentially.
that's why I said we look at it every,
But not just the rate, the formula.
The formula.
There's the rate and there's the formula.
okay.
So we could,
The formula's shown right here.
Right.
The formula could go up
but
to.
that could change as well as the rate.
Okay.
Okay.
If we don't get a good rate, then I won't vote for an aggregation. Everybody can find their own, but if we get a good rate, then I'll vote for it.
There you go. The consultants recommend the direct energy, they recommend the 2-year, and they like the formula. But it could change for the better or the worse.
Yep.
I mean, that's the game you play. I mean,
So then we can take a look at it next month and see what the formula has
Mhm.
changed or not changed and make a
correct.
decision based on that.
Correct.
I have
And
no
whether
issue
the
with that.
rate changes.
I'm sorry.
And whether the rate changes.
That was, that too.
Yeah.
Okay. That was what I wanted to make sure I understood.
Yeah, I'll keep getting, I'll have a new rate for the next meeting, maybe even try to get one in between. That's what we got a couple weeks, so, yeah, just to
Okay.
see which way it's trending, maybe. Just extra data point, but I'll at least have one the day of the next meeting, so.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, back to old business. Old minds can't remember, can they? New business. Are we having a work session?
Up to council. I printed off some, I went through all the traffic reports and kind of put them into one big Excel sheet, so you can kind of see, I don't know what that gets us. I struggled to know exactly what we were wanting to get out of the meeting. I don't
Well, that's
know.
for streets and safety, and Mr. Redding,
Yeah,
well, he was on the phone with our
Yeah.
meeting. He suggested
Yeah.
we, if you want to make it the next meeting, we do it after the next meeting. Is that all right with you?
Yeah, that's what I think too.
sounds good. Is there any particular information? I mean, again, I've got all the traffic count data that we can see for all the places we've placed it. I've got traffic citations and warnings and crashes from chief. Is there any other data that we would want? Yeah. We've ordered one and potentially could even get 2 more next year, just trying to spread them out, but we're definitely getting one.
And what was our final cost for one?
I think it was like 6,500. Once we
6,500.
actually were pulling the trigger.
And that goes all the way across the street?
Yeah, it's
So
14
it's really
feet. Yeah,
two humps with it?
yeah. It might even be more than that technically, but each one is 14 feet long, so you can hit it
Where
up
are
to
we
30
putting-
miles an hour without it really doing anything, so.
Scott, where is that gonna end up at again?
I mean, my plan was Adams, but I mean, it's up to council if you want it
We're
somewhere else.
out on Adams.
The west side, just find a midpoint between 2 intersections, kind of, just where it,
Okay.
Somewhere
The spot where
between,
we tracked the 80
yeah.
was between, like, the old high school and the South Elementary.
Before you,
Okay,
before
so
you
the-
get to the elementary, coming east.
Yes.
Okay.
That would be my recommendation, is put it where we track the 80-mile-an-hour speed.
And
Oh my
the way they are,
God.
I mean, they are removable, so I mean, you can do it somewhere for 6 months, and then if you want to change your mind.
That would be my recommendation.
Well, I mean, my thought was it can be, there's plenty of other straightaways that have had people over 80, but it just seemed like Adams had a little more than typical. Yes, I know.
Well, we could buy more sets. We
The
can-
initial quote was, I think, 15 grand, and it must have, there's all kinds of different models that you can get, so I think just once we truly told them the specs,
And they're movable.
Changed.
What's the lifetime on them?
I would have to check. I mean,
Did
they're pretty
you-
heavy duty, but they're just like these spikes that you nail into the ground, and then, yeah, you can move them the next year, take them up
Don't
so you
want to
don't,
move them all the time, because you are damaging the road somewhat.
you probably do it 1 year at a
You got those
time.
bolt holes in the ground.
What's that?
you got the holes from mounting it in the ground,
Mhm.
which will damage the road a little bit. So
Yeah, you put a hole actually put a hole in the road, and then you put something inside of there that latches onto it.
like an anchor.
Yep.
Did your data tell you besides that road, any other areas in the city that have the excessive speeds where we'd want to look to put another speed bump?
I mean, in general, it's 99% of people are going under 40. It's either under 40 or 45. I mean, 45 is still kind of fast, but I mean, 99% of people are doing all right. It's those 1% you're worried about.
Is it 35 over there?
Elizabeth did have, Compton had a bunch. Elizabeth had some.
That is too fast. especially-
Clover Nook, I mean, that's pretty long straightaway. St. Clair, I mean, lots of streets have people going over 60. I mean, it's not a lot, you know, it might be 1, 2,
Only
3 or
takes
4.
one to hit a kid or something.
Yeah.
And this on Adams, we do have the
That way you
specific
have
address.
to
It's
do
in
that
front of the big
between
Tudor houses,
Kids cut at.
which is at the bottom of the hill. And it does show that it's actually, believe it or not, it's westbound.
Really?
So they were,
That had the 17, 80 to 99 speed. That surprised me. You'd think it would be eastbound coming down the hill. But it's actually
they came around
westbound.
the curve.
They-
and
So then they're coming around, okay.
And the location that had the most over 80, there were 8, I don't know what, I just have a number for this slide, I don't know how many days this covers, but it's 8 people going over 80 miles an hour, basically in front of Fibonacci,
Real?
so
Wow.
Compton Road. I mean, it could be any of these. You could do Elizabeth, Adams, Compton, I think any of them are justifiable.
Park, Stevens.
Yeah.
I've seen them speed down there.
There's a stop sign down there.
Yeah.
And I think future
Stop.
road projects as well, it could be worthwhile to tell them to build in some speed humps
I'd
into
like
it as
that,
well. I
'cause-
mean, I kind of wish we'd done that on Hamilton, but it was sort of after the fact, thinking about it, but
So Scott, did you talk to Miss Dawn about the price of the speed bumps for Elizabeth?
she never sent me any that cost $100. I mean, I'm sure those exist, but I think they're like the parking lot speed humps where you got to go 2 miles an hour, or else you're going to break your car. We're not going to put those on 25-mile-an-hour roads.
airborne.
Okay, any other new business? You decided to put off the work session?
Yes,
To the
sir.
next meeting?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, so Paul can, Joe can be here. Sorry, Paul.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn then.
Ms. Lingo has made a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Mr. George is seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Meeting is adjourned.
Everybody have a great Thanksgiving.